This is the Remember I Told You podcast. This is the Remember I Told You podcast. Hello to all my people. I'm your host, Michelle Renee, and this is Remember I Told You podcast. So hi guys, this actually is the second recording of this episode. The first one did not go over so well. I actually didn't realize the hiccups that I would have with editing the video, with trying to go live on YouTube, and things of that nature. It looks a lot easier than what it is, but nevertheless, we are not giving up on what we want to do with this. So, with all that said, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to, be a part of your lives. Thank you for allowing me to come into your homes, if you so have me, and be who I am. I don't want this to be, kind of like a fake exchange. I just want to be who I am and offer myself in this universe. I think that so much of what people are offering right now is pretentious. And I just want to be genuinely who I am and impart my wisdom, what God has given me, and give that to you. So this podcast has been, a labor of love in the making for years. And if I could just kind of tell you, how that came about, I guess I would say, like, initially I was supposed to start it with a friend of mine, a guy friend of mine, and he actually was a friend of my late husband's, and we were going to start it together. We kind of came up with the concept, and we, thought, it would be great if we could start it together, and then, that didn't happen. He kind of, whatever happened in his life, it disappeared, and it still was a vision of mine. So then, as time went on, I was like, well, I reached out a couple of times, never heard anything. I was like, well, it's still a vision of mine. And then I kind of talked through it with a few friends of mine, and I didn't really see the vision with them. And God kind of led me in the direction of, well, Michelle, start it out by yourself and allow it to grow that way. And then, as for all of us, life happens, and then you start to put things on the back burner. And that's just kind of how the last years have been, the pandemic, trying to educate my children from home, and then, having a few losses within the last couple of years, and then, just kind of seeing the direction that life turned for me. But with that said, I always had that vision. And so as I began to sit and think, and then started writing down my goals again. Where do I see myself? This situation, this podcast came up again. And then talking with, a friend of mine that, he is always like somebody that I reach out to for advice. And he was like, well, whatever happened to, you starting your podcast? Well, that's still a goal of mine. And so then I joined a couple of, I joined a book club, and I joined, this was toward the end of last year. And I began to start educating myself again on things that I love and things that brought me, or I believe, bread and so as you can see, I'm comfortable. But I just wanted to kind of give you some insight on how I went about this journey, because it will give you insight as to how I will move forward in my relationship with you all. You are my new loves, so to speak. I think that I have come to a new awakening in my life's journey, where I want to offer the world a new level of what love looks like for me. What love looks like for me. What love looks like in a black woman, and what love looks like in a black woman that is tapping into her feminine side. Too often, we as black women, and I think I'll say this, that is the direction, I guess, when we were in a pandemic and working from home and rearing our kids and educating them from home, and spending more time as a family at home in close quarters. I think a lot of what we realized was it's no space for me. And you realize how much we were left out. I think that, we were discussing the black man and the support of the black man. And I do feel that there was a breakdown in the black man during all of this. But in that, there was a loss of communication in what that the black woman felt like in supporting him, what the loss looked like to her, what the planet, what this world, how this world has treated her in all of this, and how the workplace has treated her in all of this, how her children have treated her, how her husband has, treated her. And essentially, in some instances, I'm not going to say all, because that is not the case in all circumstances, but sometimes she is felt invisible. And so as I go to seek out a voice for us, or I was looking for podcasts that represented us as black women, I didn't see many. I saw a lot of, ones that represented the black man, misogyny, you know, how they were represented in the world or not represented, and then how we should bow down to that. And to some degree, I am old-fashioned in some of my ways of thinking, but it's not in a sense of in a misogynistic way. It's really through the power of love and through laws of attraction and teaching or believing that black women, our power is in our love center and what that looks like, and being able to say no. And because we said no doesn't mean that we disregard you, that we disrespect you, or because we put up boundaries for those that surround us that we always say yes to. Those boundaries mean that we're saying yes to us. Those boundaries now mean that we are putting ourselves in a place that we matter, that we put our mask on first. You know, if I can say that more plainly, that I'm not saying I don't love you, but it just means that I'm worrying about my circle first, my circle, my healing, my spirit first. And if I can get myself at 100%, then I can offer you love. I can offer the universe love in a way that I've never been able to offer before. And I can vibrate at a higher frequency. And that frequency puts me at a higher value than I've been able to operate at before. And I think that's what it's about. I think that, you know, it's interesting because sometimes, you know, things kind of happen by happenstance. So one of my mother's friends called me by accident, and she said, well, I called you by accident, but since I called you, how are you doing? I said, well, I'm okay. And then she said, well, that's good to hear. I said, yeah, things are going, you know, fairly well. And she said, oh, well, do you talk to this person? You talk to that person? I said, well, not much. And I said, because I'm focused on, you know, me, you know, and who I want to be, where I'm at in my life. And I don't know what that picture looks like with these individuals in it. And she said, oh, well, I always pray to God. I said, well, that's great for you. And she said, oh, you know, I pray to God, you know, that he offers forgiveness and things of that nature, and so that I can, you know, be with and be around or whatever, and kind of to that effect. And I said, well, that's your generation. My generation operates a little differently. We like to address things because we want to heal. We want to deal with it head on. We want to heal. And we want to be able to move forward without lying to our own selves. And that doesn't always look like the perfect picture, that square. Sometimes it's going to be this way, diagonal. Sometimes it's going to look like I can love you, but you might be over there, and I can love you from afar. You don't have to be up close to me for me to love you. I can love you from over there. Sometimes that's what that looks like. But it doesn't mean that I don't forgive you. It just means that I choose to be in a space of connection and healing for myself that allows me to grow and be the best me I know how to be. And I think that, too often, as women, we're saying we have to always take a back seat. And if we don't offer the perfect scenario or the amicable way, we're seen as a bitch, or we're seen as someone that is not in alignment. But as long as you have peace within here, you are in alignment. Nobody gets to walk my journey but me. Nobody gets to be who I am but me. And so I think that we as humans, as Black women, we need to begin to have those sort of conversations with each other. And I'm not talking about, it's great that celebrities want to get in on this. It's great that, but I'm talking about your average person that is getting up from day to day, that is not, that is dealing with those things that may not be seen through a specific lens. I just think that we are in a place of, now this is the year of learning, the year of growth. Try to be inquisitive. So this is the year that we are using to learn about ourselves, learn about new things, expand who we are as human beings, so that we can begin to set the stage for who we want to become in the future. I think that, if we can begin to, do things like that, also write down things, and make it simple. Make it simple. Go back to the basics on what we know works. What we know works. I will begin to each week share with you guys the books that I'm reading that are edifying my life. Right now I'm reading the 10X Rule. I'm sure a lot of you have already read that book, but I find it insightful. And so it's blessing my life right now. I also read The Alchemist last month. I've read that about 2 or 3 times. I love that book because each time I read it, I learn something new from it. It inspires me in a different way. So I'll begin to share different things that, I'm learning with that. I have goals that I have set with my weight loss. I'm not the size that I would like to be. But again, I'm not the perfect person. So I have set some things that I want to see through to completion. And I think that's where, I'll be transparent with you all on where I am and everything, and look forward to your insight on different things. And if you guys, I'm one of those people, I will tell you right now, you're going to either love me or you're going to hate me. There is no in between. But one thing about me, I love a challenge. So if you are someone that does not agree with things that I say, hey, definitely comment. Let me know where it is that I can gain the knowledge. I look forward to learning new things with you all. And again, thank you for inviting me into your home. Thank you for trusting me with your hearts and opening up your minds to me. And I look forward to this exchange. And I'm signing off for today.